Hey guys, so today I wanted to go over four things: slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and bends. So, slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and bends. Just right off the bat, I want to go ahead and apologize for my lack of enthusiasm. I've been sick the past couple of days, so I'm not feeling so hot. I'm getting better, but yeah, I really wanted to play guitar, and it's kind of time for me to do another guitar video. So this is my way of getting my hands on the guitar and getting a little content out there for you guys. So bear with me. So the first one I'll go over is sliding. Sliding is basically the easiest of the four techniques to use to like reach a note. You're not going to slide the same every time, even though I just did it 3 times in a row right there. If you paid attention, the best way I can describe sliding on guitar is just like when you were a kid and you put those slippery socks on and you ran down the hallway that was like tiled or wood floors and you just slide forever. Your fingers are kind of like your feet in this situation. And your string and your socks, I guess it all kind of fingers, feet, and socks, and strings. They're all kind of related. But anyways, you can if you ever tried to slide as far as you could without hitting something, it was hard to do that consistently, right? Because you had to know how fast to run, how far to run, when to slide, how to slide, and get your weight right. And then you had to stop on a dime because if you knock something over, your parents are going to be pissed. All right. Well, if you screw up here, you're going to hit a sour note. Sliding is a lot like that as a kid. So, like I said, there's a million ways to play a note. So, with that being said, until you hone your technique on sliding, your sliding will be inconsistent, and it might sound a little different every time until you put a lot of practice into it and nail it. Let's just say that I want to hit the 12th fret on the B string. That's where I want to land when I slide. So I can do it without looking. I've just been doing it for years. And you might ask yourself, well, where do I slide from? Do I slide from all the way down here? Or do I slide from right here behind at the 11th fret? Well, it just depends on the sound you're trying to achieve, right? And generally you have different types. You have this kind. You've got that annoying, you can hear every individual note. You got the fast one. So you can do it different ways. You can hear the difference when I slide all the way down here than right here. It like builds up, Generally, I would stay away from doing this type of slide. That's annoying. You need to be able to hear yourself. You don't want to be like those American Idol karaoke singers that go on there and they think they're the best because they know the lyrics to the song, but they can't hear the notes. They can't hear the techniques, the vocal techniques. They're just hitting the notes, so they think they're good, but they're not. Well, guitar players are the same way. They're like, hey, I'm going to do this slide right here. 3 notes from go 2 frets up. Instead of sliding like this, they slide like this. That sounds like shit. It's draggy. You're like, You don't want to do that. Well, unless you're trying to, it still sounds like crap. So don't do it. You're basically just pressing down hard enough on the string to where it makes contact with the frets. And as you do that, you want to keep that same pressure and move your hand up or down the neck on the string. Generally, you start out light and you press down ever so slightly harder as you approach your desired note or fret. So it's almost like I'm coming down. All right, I've made contact with the fret or with the string. So now I'm pressing, still just gradually pressing a little harder. Like that. And at the very end, it's probably going to be your hardest that you press down because Then you need to grip the string and vibrato or bend, whatever you're going to do next. But it's almost like you're constantly pressing down, and then you finally touch that string and you start the slide. And it's just like when you're a kid and you're in your socks going down the hallway. And you're going to sound like shit in the beginning, but just give it some practice and you'll get used to it. The last thing I'll explain about the sliding is what your playing hand is doing. Besides, fretting the note and hitting the string, the back part back here, basically just letting off the back of the neck. You don't want to have your palm or anything against the back of the neck, holding on to it, choking it. When you slide, the only thing that's going to touch the neck is this part of the hand, because that part is at the bottom of the neck. So maybe on the bottom, maybe a little bit on the back side, but you don't want to go and just like you're like pulling it. No, it's a slide. It's like a shh. Can you hear that? Yeah. Okay. So oops. So that's pretty much what's happening is you're just like sliding. So yeah, just. Don't matter. All right, so the next one's hammer-ons. With hammer-ons, it's basically almost like like the name itself. You're hammering onto the string. I cannot be doing anything, la 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 la, but I slam my finger down on this note right here on this fret, right, and it makes the noise. I'm not even doing anything. See? That's a hammer-on. Say if I want to pick one note and I hammer on. Anytime you hit a fret higher up than the one you're already fretting, so if you fret this note on the 7th fret, if you fret anything higher on the same string, it's going to make a noise. And that's called a hammer-on. It's different than going. You can go. I'm only picking the first note, this one. Right? So like say I wanted to do these two. Instead of picking it, right? 1 2 1 2 1 2. That sounds different than this. You can hear the difference, right? What you're hearing is a slight difference in a hammer-on than picking the actual individual note. Now a slide would sound like this. Oh, it's a little harder to tell the difference, right? To distinguish. So you got picking both of them versus. So that's the three things we've learned so far. Hammer on, slide, and just picking it. So when you're practicing hammer-ons, you want to make sure you practice using all fingers, but you want to be versatile. You don't want to limit yourself. You want to be able to hammer on with your middle finger. You want to be able to hammer on with your ring finger and your pinky. Now, notice I went from index finger to each one. Index to middle, index to ring, index to pinky. That's the easiest way, right? That's the easiest one because your index finger is your anchor. When it gets into the other fingers, for example, let's do these two. It gets a little tougher. Middle to pinky, right? The hardest one is ring to pinky. And that's hard because these two don't work together independently. These two want to do the same thing together all the time, right? They always want to do the same stuff. So when you try to make them do something different, your mind's like, ugh, I can't do anything. So the last thing about hammer-ons, when you start getting fast with them, there's a certain way your hands are going to want to move. You probably don't want your hands like this. I mean, that's hard because if you have your hands vertical and you drop that wrist down, like that, it tightens up all these tendons and muscles. So when you drop your wrist down and you do like a vertical hand type thing, all this is tense, so it's gonna be hard to do this 90 miles an hour, right? You might naturally do this, but some people, their mind don't work that way. So you might naturally turn your wrist a little bit and do a little bit of this. See how my wrist is turned? It's like, it's not straight down like that. It's a little more angled. See how my fingers are angled this way? They're coming like this, not straight up and down. So when you do that, your wrist isn't as cocked as much, and you're not straining your muscles as much. So that's how you do fast hammer-ons. It just takes a little practice. You have to. So the last thing I'll say about hammer-ons, or just fretting in general, you always want to be light. You want to play light, and it kind of goes back to being constricted. You don't want to be tense, because this is what happens when you press down too hard, right? When you hammer on too hard, it sounds like this. All I did was just press harder into the neck, right? This is what it sounds like. It makes the note go sharper. So you don't want to press down too hard. Ow, that freaking hurts. Look at that shit. Woo! You don't want to exert more effort than you need to. So when you're doing pull-offs, they are the exact opposite of a hammer-on. 7 to 10 on the B string. Here's your hammer-on. Right? Well, the pull-off is the opposite, from 10 to 7. So you say, well, how do I do that? Because now, if you think pull off, you're just pulling your finger off, right? You're just pulling your finger off. So if you do that, it don't sound as good. If you literally pull your finger off, right? Here we go. It sounds weak. Why did it get quiet? Why is it so loud at first? But then you let off, it sounds like it dies. Well, it's not literally pulling straight off. You're actually pulling down. You're pulling down and outward, or away. Down and away from the string and the fretboard. So that's why you keep it strong. Compared to when you don't have all this distortion and stuff on it, you can really tell. When you play clean, you can really tell when you do that lift off. It's not as strong. So just remember, you want to pull kind of down, and it's almost like a bend, down and away. If I kept my finger on the string and never pulled off, this is what it would sound like. See? That sounds like something dying, doesn't it? But we gotta make sure you pull off, though, because when you pull off down and away, it's almost the equivalent of plucking the string with your pick. If I just pull off, that's the same thing as going like this and picking it with your pick. Because the pull off, the motion you're doing, it forces the string to do something different, and that's what it makes it vibrate. And the pull off goes from this note down to this note. So last thing, when you pull off to this 7th fret B string, when you pull off, you want to make sure that this note is already fretted. You already want to be pressing down a little bit, holding this note down, as if this ring finger was never there. See? We want to be able to successfully do that first. So that way when we pull down and away, that's going to ring out true. Now remember I said a pull off is the exact opposite of a hammer on. Well, if you pull off and then you just take that hammer on technique and you hammer on with that ring finger on the same fret, that's what you get. Pull off, hammer on. You do it fast. Anyways, yeah. And that takes some practice. So the last one is bending. And bending is the hardest technique to do out of the four. The main reason why is because it's not as simple. And with bending, there is no stopping point. There's no fret to tell you that you can't go any further. So it's improvised, and you have to use your ear as well as the feeling in your hands and the tension of the strings. There's a lot going on. You have to play off a lot of things. Play off the weight of the headstock or the guitar, the string tension, how strong your fingers are. It's a lot of things. That's why it sounded like Jimi Hendrix never messed up. Jimi Hendrix was a terrible guitar player, but what made him sound cool is that he would accidentally bend past the note he was supposed to, or he may not bend high enough, and he would just keep going until it sounded good. You bend until it sounded good. Most people bend to the fret higher or 2 frets higher, which is a half step and a whole step. 10th fret B string. And we want to bend all the way up to the 12th fret B string. It's only 2 frets. That's a whole note, right? To do that, you have to do a lot of things at once, and it takes a lot of practice. So to do that, we gotta... Oh no, that's wrong. That's wrong. That was too high. It sounded like crap, right? So we want to slide. Well, this time we're gonna go. We're gonna bend up to it. Well, that sounds like shit. That's not how you want to bend. It sounds like something dying, like a siren or something. You want to make it sound pretty. So that's how you want to bend. Add a little vibrato in there. And it's difficult. It's going to take the longest to learn. But that's bending. When you bend, you want other fingers to help. You don't want to use one finger to go. That's hard. If you got other fingers to help you out, you won't use as much strength and dexterity, and your hands will you'll be able to play for longer. Typically, if you bend with your ring finger, say we're going to bend with a ring finger. We're gonna get our middle finger to help us out, right? It's almost like going with your. You're gonna use almost as much effort with your middle finger as you are your ring finger. That way, you're splitting the effort. I mean, you can use 3 fingers, but 3 fingers is too much. It's just you don't need it. You just need 2 fingers to help out. You can also do a half bend. So instead of going from 10th fret to 12th fret, we can do a half bend to the 11th fret. We can go. It's not as far of a bend. Oh, see, I went up a whole fret just by bending. And you ask me, how do I know how to do that? How do I know when to stop? Well, you don't at first. It's all about hearing. So it takes practice. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends. So you see there, you can play a note a billion different ways. You also got your slides. It's hard to learn bending without learning vibrato. Just like on anything on guitar, it's usually crap without your vibrato. I'm going to cover vibrato in a different video though. But as far as bending goes, you usually want to grip your thumb over the top of the neck. That you're going to use that for leverage. Think of it like this. You're going to be doing this when you bend, okay? Your wrist is either going to be pulling down, depending on how you grab the string and what string you grab. You're going to be pulling down like this, or either you're going to be pushing up like that. And you're going to play off the string tension, because the string will naturally want to make you come back down. So when you come down, you don't need to bring it down like this. You don't need to bring it down. It will naturally come down. So you can bend and give it pressure and then kind of let off. And then it's going to take the most practice, and it's going to hurt the most, because bending digs into your fingertips. When you vibrato with a bend, it is basically the same thing as a bend, but the motion needs to be faster and smaller and smoother. So see, if I bend it, if I do a bend, that's big and wide, right? That can be classified as a vibrato. Well, a vibrato is a smaller version of that. Some people have very wide vibratos, like Yngwie and George Lynch and all them. And Zakk Wylde. It's very wide. I can't do it as good. I don't sound as good. My hands aren't as strong, but mine are pretty subtle. And you'll know you're screwing up because it's an ear sore. It doesn't sound good. So just make sure that you anchor that thumb on the back of the neck, over the top. And this is all, the neck winds up being all in here, and you rock it. It's almost like a rocking thing. And you just take your wrist and yeah, I'm using a lot of pressure right here with my thumb if you look. So it takes practice. There are many ways to bending. There's different types of bends and stuff like that, but I will cover that in a different video. I can talk 15-20 minutes easily in a video about bending and the different types of bends. But for right now, just stick with a little bit I showed you. That will get you through. Okay, so the last thing I'll touch on that I should be doing in a completely different video, but I'm just going to skim over it real quick just to help you out a little bit, is spacing and timing with these techniques. So whenever you're playing, say, 3 notes, when you're going, you don't want to go. You want to, or if it's a triplet, either way, your notes are supposed to be spaced out. You hear how mine are spaced out perfectly? You don't want to be like, so whenever you're doing hammer-on pull-offs, see how I'm staying in time, staying consistent? You don't want to go like this. You can tell how I'm slowing down and speeding up. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. We covered a lot of stuff, and it was pretty quick. I could probably get more detailed, but I don't want to bore you to death. If there's something I didn't cover or didn't explain well enough, make sure you let me know. Message me, whatever. I'll contact you, and we can maybe put it in a different video, or if it's just something simple, I'll message you really quick about it. This is enough stuff to keep you working for a long time. You'll always use these techniques in your everyday play from here on out. So the more you practice, the better you'll get. I promise you. Just stay focused on it. But anyways, if you like the video, make sure you smash that subscribe button down there. Give me a thumbs up, whatever. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good one.